So many of us have been feeling stressed lately that Nicole and I decided to do a video about stress and humor. So if you're feeling stressed out too, watch this video. But if you want to skip straight to the good stuff, go over to selfcaretips.org/free guide, download your free guide and get started on creating a self-care plan. So, hi, Nicole.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Good, really good. I just spent my lunch hour in the park outside in a t-shirt in November.
I know, it's so strange.
Oh, it felt good though.
Yeah.
For folks who don't know, Nicole is a counselor on staff here at Animal Assisted Therapy, and I'm Annalisa. I own Animal Assisted Therapy. So yeah, let me tell you what my inspiration was for today's video. So our office is in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, which is a suburb of Philadelphia. And the past weekend in particular, but really the past couple of weeks, the memes on social media have been on fire, in particular with Gritty.
Oh my God, yes.
Gritty memes are nuts, right? So not everyone's going to know who Gritty is. And to be honest, like I'm not a sports person, but I still, picked up on what was happening. But my partner wrote the most beautiful explanation of who Gritty is, talking to a friend of his. So I'm going to read his words. All right. So Gritty is Philadelphia's Patronus. At once inviting and horrifying, his eyes speak of miles ridden on septa. His hide may, in fact, be stuffed with Wawa wrappers instead of flesh and bone. Yingling flows through his veins, and he only bathes under the full moon in the Schuylkill River. The only way to calm his anger are gifts of cheesesteaks and crab fries.
That is perfect.
Right? He's such a poet. Yeah, so that got me thinking about humor and how so many of us have just been so very stressed out for months, but it was sort of culminating during the election period, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, we used memes and other ways of making ourselves laugh to really cope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny because that was like my number one coping thing, was seeing all these memes pop up with like Gritty and just like being in the surrounding areas of Philadelphia and seeing all the things that people were coming up with.
Very creative.
Definitely a nice break, for laughter in some of the unsettling and chaotic times that we've been in for like 2020 in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So in preparation for this video, I was watching a TED Talk, which I can share in the comments, called How to Humor Your Stress. And the speaker, she said something that I thought was both true and also amusing. She said, "We are the only country in the world, and I've traveled a lot, only country in the world that has this many types of laxatives for sale." And because stress makes you, but like that, it made me sort of ask the question, like, how does stress impact the body?
Oh, I think in more ways than people honestly realize. I know we had talked a little bit before the video of like that physical feeling of stress of like, you're all of a sudden you feel like your shoulders are up here and like, you're like, why do I have this headache? And I'm just not feeling right. And that's because when we're in an extended period of stress, our cortisol levels will rise. And that's evolutionarily okay for small periods of time because it's a way of, okay, maybe I need to feel a little stressed to move away from this mountain lion or to meet this deadline, right? But when it's for such a long period of time, it starts to wear on us. So we start seeing, those more headaches. We see a lot of musculoskeletal issues. We see even with like blood pressure and an increased risk of heart disease. And it starts to really wear on you.
Yeah. So long-term stress can really harm our bodies as well as our mental health, of course, right?
Yeah.
The more stress that we're under for the longer period of time, the more likely we are to develop depression or anxiety or a similar mental health disorder.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, you figure in things like quarantine and the lockdown where you're not getting as much social interaction. You
Mhm.
feel like you're kind of stuck in one space, that if you already have some kind of mental health concern going on, that's going to definitely heighten it. And
Yeah.
if you're not like dealing with mental health issues at that point in time, you're going to start to feel that depression. You're going to start to feel that anxiety and stress just with what's going on around you.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's normal, right? That's the good news, and it's manageable. Right, that's the
Yeah.
good news. Um, so yeah, so let's talk about humor for a minute. So how does laughter impact the body?
So it's kind of, it does a little bit of a cancel out, right? So if we're talking about these high cortisol levels that are going on, you're going to start feeling that wave of endorphins and like the
Mhm.
happy, chemicals in our brain and in our body that will start to lower those cortisol levels. And you'll
Mhm.
feel that like, a giddy or a little bit more of a euphoric feeling because
Yeah.
you're letting it out with that nice laughter.
Right. Yeah, and so it helps the body, but it also helps in other ways too, right? When you laugh with friends, you're strengthening those bonds, right? You're able to give yourself a distraction from the very real stressors that are happening in the world. A healthy distraction, right? Because you don't want to avoid problems, but it's good to step away sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I know, when I'm laughing with family or friends, you're right, it's that bonding moment. It makes you feel less alone. You feel that sense of community and like something to come together and laugh about, right? And
Mhm.
also having that moment of not thinking about all the stressful things that are happening at that same time.
Right. Yeah. Can you like laugh on demand though, right? Like does it work just to open up a book and start reading jokes and have a giggle?
You know, it's I want to say yes. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
almost
think
like a
so
fake it
too.
till you make it kind of moment of like you're like, you know what? I need something to distract me. I need to kind of break out of this stressful funk, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, you start looking at jokes on just Google bad jokes or like,
Puns. My favorite is puns.
oh yes, I'll say that to my partner all the time. I'll be sitting there on Instagram and I like follow like a bunch of pun, things, and like I'm like cracking myself up, especially after a long day or just in a moment where I like, the news is on and I'm like, I don't know, like I don't know how to handle this right
Yep.
now.
So
It's just a nice, and he just looks at me like, what are you doing? You know what? It does. You
it
can
works.
get
Yeah.
yourself into that.
I'm remembering, and I didn't write down the exact study beforehand because it just came to my mind, but I'm remembering a study where the participants were asked to put a pencil in their mouth so that they were doing the smiling, like forcing a smile,
Yeah.
and compared it to people who were not smiling. And like there were measurable changes in whatever it was. I'm sorry, I'm ill prepared with this. What it was, the hormone levels, or maybe it was a self-report of how they felt. But just like forcing the smile for a while actually had a change in how they were feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something to be said for that mind body connect of when you start doing things for your body or having your body do something such as like getting yourself to have that like kind of smile, that your mind starts to follow suit, right? Because
Mhm.
you have that connection that's happening.
Yeah.
And the same thing can happen in the opposite direction too. If you're kind of stuck in that feeling of stress and anxiety
Yeah.
and your body is
Pulling your
following
body.
suit,
Mhm.
yeah, you start to really come inward and have that stress that maybe in your shoulders, your back, your chest might feel a little tight. Like it really can go both ways.
Right. Yeah. So I'm thinking about having Benji in the therapy room with me. And one of the things that I love the best about animal assisted therapy is the humor that he brings in. Like, he can be such a clown. I often tell people, like, he did his obedience training. Like, I swear he did, but he was like a C student and kind of just does what he wants at times. But he's funny. So, you know, traditional talk therapy, when you go in and sit down and start talking to your counselor is not just going to casually, you know, walk over to you, lean against your leg and fart, right? That's not going to happen, like, ever. And if they do, like, call a different counselor.
Yeah, I want to talk to somebody.
But Benji does that, and you know, and it makes us laugh every time, because it's like, well, he is his own self.
Oh,
you
I
know?
remember one time I was sitting on the couch and he literally just flips over and just starts to like scoot himself like onto me. There's no way that you can't laugh.
Right. Right.
Like, it's like he senses that the room needs to liven up a little bit.
You know, and he probably does sense the cortisol, right?
Yeah.
There are dogs that can be trained to respond to that when they smell whatever changes are happening to your body when you become stressed. Now, Benji is not at that level, but he's obviously sensing something and responding on his own, which is pretty special.
Yeah. No, I think he's ahead in his class in that perspective.
Yeah. So, Nicole, what is your favorite joke?
Oh, so I had a hard time finding like a number one, because I am very much from like the pun, bad joke, you know, realm. But when I found it was dog themed, so I thought it was, you know, pretty on point. But okay, so why do dogs make terrible dance partners?
Why?
They've got two left feet.
Nice. So I am your audience. I love a pun. I love dogs, so I am so your audience. Yeah. So maybe we should invite our audience to share their favorite joke in the comments. That could be
yes,
fun.
please.
Yeah. All right. And I this isn't my favorite joke, but this is a joke that my 7-year-old daughter recently told me. So I thought I would share it with you guys. Why did the police officer flush the toilet?
Why?
Because it was her duty. So we're going to end this video with some toilet humor. Don't forget to go to selfcaretips.org/free guide and download your guide to start working on your own self-care plan. Nicole, thank you so much. I'll see you again next week at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.